a question or something that I've been asked about fairly a lot recently is, what are the parenting books that you recommend? What do you think are the top recommended parenting books? What do you think I should be reading? And this is hard because it is subjective. And the truth is, I didn't really read many of them. Oh, I did a lot of research online, but I didn't really sit down and read a lot of books until my girls were a little older. And then most of those books were more about education rather than parenting. But it doesn't mean that I don't think that there's no great parenting books out there. There really, really are. But when we start giving that top parenting books, it can be hard because it's subjective. What are you looking for? That's usually my question. What are you looking for? What's important for you in this book? Well, let's have a look at that today. So some top parenting books and how to pick them. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life. And thank you so much for joining me as we look at parenting books. Do you have a favorite one? I know that they are so popular. It really is. It is an industry. And it's great because we do need to learn, and it's helpful to learn from others and hear the stories and understand that we are not on our own in this. Especially when maybe we're daring to do something different to how we were parented, or we wanted to try something new. This is great. And you know what? When you don't maybe have something to ask, your parents about, you are looking for a book. And so I get that. I love parenting stuff. I love looking at the different aspects of parenting. And I've brought some videos on this too. I really love that. And that's why Learning Life exists. Parenting, education, homeschool, that it's all in there together. So I really want to say thank you for watching and for your likes and subscribes and for your comments. So if you're looking for a parenting book, as I said, it's sort of subjective, the top, there are some great books out there. There really, really are. And I have read some that I have thoroughly enjoyed. But really one of the best ways that we can go about it is to start to look at how we want to pick one and what might be best for us. How to pick a parenting book. I always think it's good to start with recommendations from friends, especially if they are someone that you gel with, in how you parent. Okay, really, maybe it's not best to get recommendations from friends who parent in a style that you don't do. Okay, but this is always a great way. Hey, what do you recommend? Why? What did you get out of it? So starting with that is a great place to start. Unless you want an anecdotal book, that's just full of all the different stories that will often make you laugh. They are good. But unless you want that and you want a book that really brings some sort of meat to it, then you want a book that will have studies and research as part of it. And they will include the citations, sources, and names. To me, that's important. I love facts. I love information. I love studies. And I also want to know where you got it from. And knowing what style of parenting you feel you best align with is very, very helpful when it comes to picking a book. So are you an authoritative parent? That's not an authoritarian, authoritative. Are you a gentle parent? What style of parenting do you feel that you align with? You know what? I have done some videos on those. Check out the links below. But if you know that you are more of an authoritarian parent, then there are certain books that you would lean to. But if you are into the gentle parenting, then you'll want to read these books. You won't necessarily want to read those. So knowing what you are looking for and in line of parenting style is going to help you. And then I think that there are some really helpful questions to ask yourself when looking at parenting books. Who wrote it and why? Okay, why did they write it? They just write it because they wanted to write a book. If they're just doing that, is it the best for you? But as well, if it's a parenting book, I generally want a parent to have written it, and sort of understand what, this is something that has really worked for me and I wanted to bring it to people. Okay, great. That actually helps me. So who wrote it and why? Is it based on science? So science and facts. Is it just somebody's idea that they've gone, oh, well, I just did this, and so now I've created like my own sort of parenting style? Or is it more something that is rooted in like some science and facts and all of those different things? Will it bring me hope and motivate me? We want a parenting book that will bring us hope. We will want a parenting book that will like motivate us. Why are we like reading these books? I know I don't want to read a parenting book to make me feel bad about myself and think that I am the world's worst mother and I feel like totally dismotivated and then I'm just going to be like, yeah, over there. No, will it bring you hope and will it motivate you? Next question is it going to hold my interest? Again, you're really not going to want to read a book that is extremely dry. I mean, I've read many studies that are extremely dry, and you're like, oh, I get it. But then that was more like the scientific studies. But in a book, you want it to hold your interest. Like if you're reading a novel and it doesn't interest you, don't you just put it down and go, I'm not going to read the rest. You want that in a parenting book. And is it going to give realistic outcomes? Okay, there is no point in reading a book that then says basically you have to change everything that you eat and your lifestyle and you have to do all of this and it doesn't feel realistic. Okay, you want to read a parenting book that is going to be like, hey, here are some things that you can do and here's how we did it and this is the outcome that we saw and perhaps if you try it like this, making it work for you, it'll give this. When it's realistic, you sort of think, oh, I could really try that. Like I could really see like if it's going to work. But if I have to radically change our lifestyles, that is not realistic. Now, I will say my one big note in all of this is read parenting books with an open mind. Okay, guess what? You are not going to agree with everything. Okay, yeah. In every book that I've read, there has been something at least that I've gone, yeah, that's not really going to work for us in understanding my children and like our family life and like in how we have decided like to parent. And that is okay. Like glean from the book what is useful for you. Okay. There is always going to be something that you can get out of it, something that stood out and you go, oh yeah. Okay, so maybe it's only 50% of the book you agree with. Maybe it's 95, but you are not going to agree with everything. So when you read with an open mind like that, that is the best way of doing it, of going, I will take the good and chuck out the other stuff that I don't agree with. What works for you? What is useful for you? Best parenting books. Oh yeah, I know this is going to be subjective because it always is. What I think might be the best is not what you think is the best, okay? And so I get that. So it's really hard like to throw around like that term, but so many of us start looking for that top parenting books, best parenting books. But if we are asking those questions that I've just brought out, that might help us like sort of narrow down what we are looking for. Yes, you can Google and find lists of top parenting books, best parenting books, top books for new parents, top books for toddling, like parents of toddlers, parents of teens, whatever. It's like, oh, okay. Those lists can actually be a great place to start. But remember, it's subjective. Somebody has made this decision that these are the best. And they can go on sales and they can go on reviews, and I get all of that. But it's a really great place to start. And then read with the reviews to narrow down your search. But don't just read all the 5-star reviews. Read some of the 1-star reviews. I actually find those to be very helpful in going, okay, so I see that, yes, it has 90% 5-star reviews. So it's probably one that a lot of people got out of. But I always like to know, like, why did somebody give it a 1-star review? Like, what didn't sit? And generally, as I read them, I go, oh, this actually doesn't work with their parenting style. Or like, this is just something that they don't gel with. And again, like, that's totally okay. So read those reviews to narrow down your search, and also check out what's available at your local library. A number of the books that I have read have just been there at the library that I could like then just borrow and read. I love books. I will gladly buy books, but when it is on something like this, I don't actually really want to put money into it until like I really know that it's going to be exactly what I want. So like if it's a book that I have like really enjoyed when I've borrowed it from the library, I might then go and purchase it and keep it. But actually, as I said, pretty much all my parenting books I have given away as we've moved on to different phases, or it's like, I just wanted to bless somebody with it. Hey, I really got a lot out of this. I know you and I sort of think along the same way. Hey, you might enjoy these books. Now, the recommendations I'm going to give are mine. and mine alone, except for the gentle parenting books. And that comes from a couple of my friends who follow gentle parenting. So I asked them about that because I know that that has actually been one of like the top searches that people are looking for. So are these recommendations subjective? Yes, but they are mine. And I just wanted to share with you what I have really enjoyed reading and a little bit of why. And so in the area of child development, The Whole Brain Child by Siegel and Bryson. This is actually my favorite parenting book. Parenting. It's not really a parenting book, but oh my goodness, it really helped me to see how my girls think, regulate emotions, all of that. Like what's going up here? I really wish it had been available when I started teaching. I think, even though we did like child development and child psychology and all of that, this book is actually very helpful in understanding our children as children and, how they're going to grow and their development. In the area of faith-based parenting books, because I know there are people who want that, Loving Our Kids on Purpose by Danny Silk, Boundaries with Kids by Cloud and Townsend. Now, these books were very helpful for me. I've been to a Danny Silk course. I really love his whole heart connection with kids. And so in looking at that was great. He's taken a lot of the Love and Logic. And so the Love and Logic books are good too, and brought it in really in a strong faith-based one. I really got a lot out of it. But guess what? There's some stuff that I don't actually follow. And I actually read Boundaries with Kids while I was at university, and because that's when it came out. And I used the principles in it in my classrooms. Oh my goodness, it was so, so helpful. This is well before I had children of my own. This was before I was married. But what they have written, of course they have boundaries, which is for the adults, but they're Boundaries with Kids. It is a book that I will often give at a baby shower because I'm hey, this is a very helpful book. And I put it under faith-based, but you know what? It stands so well, even in its own category. So Boundaries with Kids. Some gentle parenting books. These are recommended by some friends, and they feel like these, to them, are the best ones if you want to be gentle parenting. So Raising Good Humans, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting and raising kind, confident kids by Hunter Clark Fields. And Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids, How to Stop Yelling and Start Connecting by Dr. Laura Markham. So if you're looking at gentle parenting, I would recommend you start with those two. Now, in toilet training, because I really struggle to say potty training. Oh Crap, Potty Training by Jamie Glowacki, and Potty Training 1, 2, 3, What Works, How It Works, Why It Works by Gary Ezzo. I actually read both of these because they were highly recommended by friends who had been there, done that. I was going to be toilet training twins, what should I do? And they're very different methods. So I read both to see, what do I think would work best in knowing my girls? I ultimately went with Potty Training 1, 2, 3, and it was amazing for us. One of them trained in 2 days, and then 2 weeks later, one of them trained in 4. That was daytime training. We just let their bodies work out nighttime training. But if you're looking at toilet training, potty training your kids, those 2 books I highly recommend. And my latest read that I recommend, this title isn't going to be for everyone. Personally, the title is what drew me to it. I appreciate the science-based strategies that she presents. Do I agree with everything? No, but I don't have to. But I learned a lot through it, and I actually found it very enjoyable to read. So the book is, and excuse the language, How to Raise Kids Who Aren't Assholes, Science-Based Strategies for Better Parenting from Tots to Teens by Melinda Wenner Moyer. So those are just some of my recommendations. To me, those are my best. Those are my top. But when I'm looking at books that I want to pick up and read, I am asking those questions. Who wrote it? What am I going to get from it? Okay. We want to pick up a book that we are going to learn from, that is going to support us in our parenting and not bring us down. So go and have some fun. Go and look and see what parenting books are out there that would be helpful for you. Learn your parenting style, decide what you want to go for, and then just really step in. And remember, you're not on your own in this. We're all in this together. And hey, if you have a parenting book that you recommend, drop it down below. I'm always interested to see what people like and why. And, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can read that and just see, because I always want to be learning, to be growing, to becoming better, to really just like raise my girls beautifully. Congratulations, Windy City Homeschool. You are the winner of a copy of one of my girls' favorite cookbooks, Cheeky Treats. I will be in touch with you so that I can send it out to you. Thank you so much for your comment and for watching Learning Life. So thank you so much for watching today. And thank you for being part of this Learning Life. There are so many great ways that you can get involved with us. You can share with friends, you can subscribe, but you can also become a champion. So you can do that through patreon.com or through my website, where I'll have these recommendations, LearningThis.Life.